Drivers, start your engines!
Tuning up your work week. It's MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse and brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Warning, please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times and do not feed the host. Here's Woody Cain and Joey Meier.
MRN Motorsports Monday presented by Outback Steakhouse. In the aftermath of what we saw at Pocono, we got all the racing in. The weather threatened a couple of times over the weekend, but in the end, everything got done, and it got done in a timely fashion, and that's a good thing. Martin Truex Jr. comes out on top, and now we have, instead of the big two with Harvick and Kyle Busch, we've got a big three. Truex, Harvick, and Busch have now won 11 of the 14 races so far this year.
Just so you understand, I'm a little unstable right now.
I feel you.
I'm missing my Joey.
Little Joey is on special assignment. Hopefully he can make it by the end of the show.
We'll get him back
here
eventually.
He's on special
we'll get him back.
Yeah.
What do you get when you join Trenton Speedway, Indy Speedway in Milwaukee, along with the longest straightaway in NASCAR?
Ooh, me. I know.
Over
Call on me.
3,700 feet long. Now, mind you, I fly airplanes for a living. I land on runways all the time, less than 4,000 feet.
Do they lean like that?
No, they don't. But this is 3,740 feet long straightaways. Guys are shifting. Is it a speedway? Is it a road course? This was the original Roval, way before Charlotte even thought about it. This was the original Roval. And again, the cream rises to the top. We saw the top three cars, the 4, the 18, and the 78. And then there was everybody else.
Yes, there was.
Which included us in the 42 and a couple of our teammates. They were back there racing. It provided a decent race without some kind of gimmicky package to put on a good race. Pocono is a very long track. It's unusual in the fact that it takes almost a minute to get around the place. But you can see it. You can see it all.
Which is why you can pit without losing a lap under green, which makes for some interesting strategy.
Exactly right. And, beforehand I was talking with Jeff Striegel and Joe Moore, and they were asking me, what do you think your strategy is going to be? The interesting thing about strategy at Pocono is you can have all your cards laid out, but you can't play them until other guys start playing their cards. If you're the fast car on the track, you dictate strategy. You say, I'm coming now, and you're going to beat me. If you start 17th like we do, you have to say, all right, what are you going to do? How are you going to play your hand? Because then I know what card I'm going to get rid of. And that's the way it worked out for us. We ended up staying out long and doing a complete unique strategy relative to the guys that were really good. But Pocono allows so many unique opportunities to gain track position or even lose track position, because like we saw with Joey Logano, if you run out of gas at Pocono, you are in trouble.
That's a bad feeling.
Yes,
right
it
there.
is.
That's an oh no
That's
type
it.
of feeling.
But we got today is Monday.
And that means it's Bloomin' Monday,
Free
because
Monday.
another top
That's
10
it.
for Kevin Harvick. Go by Outback Steakhouse and tell him, hey, Kevin Harvick, reeled off another one. I want my free Bloomin' Onion. Little Joey hopefully will make it here by the end of the program. He's on special assignment right now. But let's check out Martin Truex Jr. and what he had to say after his second victory of the season.
Well, final restart, really the end of the race was just kind of played in our hands. We decided to stay out there when some guys pitted. I think 4 of us stayed out or whatever, but yeah, really, we were good on scuffs yesterday in practice, and that kind of led to that decision. And Cole said stay out, and I was like, I think this is a good idea. So, luckily, it worked out for us. We ran some really fast lap times at the end, but the restarts are always, always a question mark. You're always a little bit nervous, just hoping you do everything right, and hoping 2 guys don't get that bumper to bumper kind of tandem thing going and get a run on you. So we were able to hold them off, and I felt like if we could get to turn 1 with the lead, I felt pretty confident we could hold them off, and that was the case. So awesome day by everybody on the team, and we had to battle a little bit back from a bad pit stop, but in general, just had a really good car. Everybody did a great job all weekend long and made the right decisions. So just happy today that things kind of went our way a little bit for once. It's been tough lately, but it was an awesome day, awesome place to win, and really proud of everybody.
Martin Truex Jr. goes to victory lane, and you can get his race-winning die cast from Pocono, as well as all the race-winning and other die casts. They're available at planbsales.com. A lot of cool cars there, a lot of cool things to check out. Visit planbsales.com to find out more. So Truex talks about the end strategy, where some stayed out, some came in and took tires and tried to get up front. But Kevin Harvick said the key for him was a previous pit stop where, in his words, they lost control of the race. They had the lead, went to pit road, came back out, and he couldn't get the lane he wanted on the ensuing restart.
Well, not only that, but there was a slight miscommunication where a lot of times we hear on the radio, do what the other guys don't do. Well, I believe Rodney Childers wanted to come down and take 2 if they took 4, or take 4 if the other guys took 2. Kevin Harvick interpreted it as I'm staying out if they pit, or I'm going to pit if they stay out. And there was a little bit of a gap there between those guys. And so they were out there on a different strategy that just didn't work out for them. But he did not, just like we talked earlier, he was one of the fast cars. And instead of dictating the strategy, he had to play his hand after somebody else played theirs.
After they showed their cards and circumstances changed against him. Little Joey's made it back. Go to Outback Steakhouse, get the kids menu. That's what the Joey menu is all about.
No,
tell them you got the Outback Steakhouse Bloomin' Monday program with Kevin Harvick getting another top 10 finish this season. A break here on Motorsports Monday. When we come back, on track, off track, we'll talk some Xfinity racing, and we'll talk Texas and Michigan before we get the show done today. Stick around, everybody.
Chris Crockett here with one of the heads of our Toyota racing family, Martin Truex Jr.
Doing great, Chris. Thanks for asking.
I hadn't asked, but was about to.
Great second question, Chris. Car feels great, and no pressure because of last year's results.
How do you
know what you're about to ask?
Yeah, you're
blowing your mind? Relax, Chris. Being out in the lead is what I do best.
That is
amazing. I know.
NASCAR and Toyota Racing. With a family like this, who knows the places we'll go this season? Learn more at toyotaracing.com. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great.
Kyle Petty here. My friends at Click & Close, the official mortgage provider of NASCAR, have stepped up this year to support Victory Junction through the fastest lap of the race program on NASCAR radio. So join our team. Go to clickandclose.com/NASCAR today to donate $43 or more and help us give the gift of camp to children with serious medical conditions. That's clickandclose.com/NASCAR, and just look for the Victory Junction logo. Thanks to Click & Close and NASCAR Radio for their support this season.
Here's Martin Truex Jr. Swings it wide off the corner, and he is headed to the short chute.
So much talk this season about the Kyle and Kevin show. Special guest star at Pocono, Martin Truex Jr. He is all alone, headed off turn 3.
Usually you think of Martin Truex's home track as being Dover. He said the other day his second home track is Pocono, and today, for the second time in his career, he will win at Pocono Raceway in the Pocono 400. It's his second win of the 2018 season.
Mike Bagley, Kurt Becker, and Joe Moore on the call Sunday from Pocono Raceway as Martin Truex Jr. gets another victory. And as we said, that's 11 of 14 for the Big Three. Harvick has 5 and the All-Star race. Kyle Busch has 4, and now Martin Truex Jr. has 2 victories on the season. And as you mentioned earlier, those 3 kind of separated themselves yesterday, and that's the way the season seems to be shaping up right now.
What scares me about 3 big guys is they're already setting themselves up for bonus points to move on in the playoffs.
That's how Truex did it last year.
Exactly right. But the issue comes in, we only move on at the end 4 of these guys. But if you have 2 winners that aren't one of those 3, it bumps somebody out. So you ratchet up, even though you feel really safe in having all these bonus points, all it takes is for 2 different drivers to win in that occasion, and it bumps somebody out, so you can never be safe. If you have one driver like Martin Truex last year that had a lot of bonus points, he was really safe because it was going to take 4 drivers to win and then bump him out. And that really wasn't feasible because
it's going to be hard to keep him from making the final
because
round.
there was only 3 races in each round, right?
Yeah.
So you can only have 3 winners. You needed 4 to bump Truex out, which is physically impossible. So he was really safe with all the bonus points. Well, other teams have looked at bonus points and how incredibly hard they are to get and how valuable they are. And now we have 3 drivers with a lot of bonus points. Is it really going to pay off for all 3 of them in Homestead? And that's what we're going to see.
May not,
exactly
who can accumulate the most among those 3 is going to be critical as well.
Exactly right.
All right, let's shift gears and talk on track, off track, where we discuss some things that are going well in the sport and some things that aren't going quite so well in the world of NASCAR. One of the things that I know you wanted to talk about was the weather at Pocono.
You know, it's interesting, in the past couple of years at Pocono, we've actually delayed or canceled both of our races on Sunday a couple of years, last year or the year before, because the weather at Pocono was so bad. This weekend we show up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, man, you look at your app and you talk to your people and the weather's terrible. We're not even going to race. We ended up leaving Thursday night because the weather was supposed to be bad, so bad Friday morning, we were concerned about being able to fly into the airport. Boom, we get there Thursday night, it's foggy, it's going to rain. We're like, yep, this is exactly what they called for. Friday morning to Sunday afternoon, the weather was really spot on. A little cloudy, a little cool, a little unseasonably cool for June, or July, you know, the first part of this June. But we really had good weather. So congratulations to Pocono, because we finally had a weekend that went on schedule. There were no delays for the rain. The fog didn't pose a problem. There wasn't, you know, solar flares to concern ourselves about. Or
Now
any
wait,
of that stuff.
when has a race ever been delayed by solar flares?
Pocono's had a lot of problems. All I'm saying is this weekend
But not
was
with solar
really,
flares.
Not with
Yeah.
solar flares.
Okay.
But we had, the weather for Pocono was finally, we were able to have a scheduled event from Friday morning when we showed up to Sunday after the Cup race go on as planned. And that's just a home run if you can get there at Pocono.
And get out in a timely fashion. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, my on-track kind of segues to one of your off-track. My on-track is kudos to NASCAR for trying the new Aero package. They used it last year at Indy. The Cup cars used it during the All-Star race, and then they'll use it at Michigan coming up this week as well. And I think it's one of the things that NASCAR has to get some credit for trying. However, shifting to off-track, it didn't necessarily work as well as people had hoped.
No, one of the frustrating things for me is I enjoy this trying these new packages like we saw in the All-Star race, and everybody was threw their arms up in the air as the greatest thing since sliced bread. But we overlooked some smaller things. The smaller stages, we only ran 30 laps the most, and we ran a couple of 20s and a 10.
It keeps everybody closer together.
No matter what package you have, the shorter times you have keeps everybody together. So it was kind of a false sense of success. But we go to a place like Pocono, we talked about it being very flat and based on 3 different tracks. We really don't expect Pocono to race 2 and 3 wide. They're gonna have to lift getting in the corners because they're so flat. These race cars, regardless of what package we have, are still well over 3,200 pounds. To get these cars around the corner in turns 1, specifically in exiting turn 3, you're gonna have to lift a little bit. A restricted engine, regardless of where you're at, the last thing you want to do with a restricted engine is lift out of the gas. Because
that's kind of the key to it. You got to get that momentum built up.
It takes so long to get going. Well, that's what we saw at Pocono. Guys that were following and had runs but had to lift getting out of the corners simply took too long to get going. When you lift, the minute you lift out of the gas and the engine's no longer pulling you, then you're relying on downforce. We saw
plenty of that.
We saw the better cars with the downforce simply go to the front. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, to name a few, that were able to go to the front and really run away with it because of the package. This package that we have is designed on being able to run wide open and never lift. With that being said, not this Michigan for the Cup guys, possibly the next Michigan for Cup, but this coming weekend for the Xfinity, I believe you're going to see a much better race. Because Michigan's wider. We've been very low groove, right? It's been single groove.
Since the repave.
Slowing the cars down will allow them to go back wider, run wide open. I'm actually very excited about Michigan. I'm not excited about taking this package back to Pocono or even Indy in the near future.
Well, again, kudos to them for trying, but I think one of the things that we talked about with it is will they use it again and when on the Cup side?
Yes.
Steve O'Donnell over the weekend talked a little bit about it and said we could see somewhere between 1 and 3 races more with this package for the Cup cars. We talked about Xfinity. They're going to run it at Michigan this weekend. When might we see it for the Cup cars, and what track do you think it might be most effective at for them? Michigan?
I believe Michigan I believe the second Michigan. Obviously, we go to Michigan this week. It's too early. Too soon for the turnaround. I could easily see it at Michigan. That's a prime place of real estate for this package. Saying that, Indy, which is, I keep hearing Indy, I don't believe Indy is a really good response for that. Again, because the cars will have to lift, because Indy will not provide
the
too
Xfinity
wide
cars
racing.
didn't, but the Cup cars have more power.
And the fact that they're just going faster because more power. And aerodynamically, they're a little bit better because the teams are a little bit better at tweaking them cars. They're not going to go too wide through the corners, and that's going to make cars lift. And I think anytime you lift with this package, it takes away from what the package is supposed to be doing.
I think it's something that we can look forward to seeing down the road. Now, the other question is this something that we could see pop up in the playoffs? We've already had sort of a curveball where Charlotte is going to the Roval in their playoff race as opposed to using it in the All-Star race, and that's a different variable. Could we see this pop up in the playoffs, and what kind of a curveball might that be?
You know, I think between the engine manufacturers and the race teams building cars, they have a little bit more input with the charter system going to NASCAR, and that's going to kind of dictate where we move this on. The engine guys can't just keep throwing restrictor plates on motors because we have to run them twice now in this year. So that whole schedule is really what's going to dictate when we see this package moving forward.
All right, one more quickie on the off-track point. I know we saw the announcement this week that the Cup banquet at the end of the season is going back to Las Vegas. There had been some speculation that with 2 Cup races now, it might move somewhere else.
You know, I live in Charlotte. We have, and NASCAR has built, if you haven't been to the Charlotte Hall of Fame here in NASCAR, it is a magnificent facility. Magnificent. Mm-hmm. There's things that you're going to see there that you can't simply see anywhere else in the country revolving around NASCAR.
Very interactive.
Very interactive, hands-on. You can see cars and get within inches of cars that any hero from the 50s all the way to 2018. We have our banquet in Vegas.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful facility. We had a truck and Xfinity banquet last year. They have multiple things going on down there with the Hall of Fame entries and stuff. Let's have our banquet in Charlotte. Let's have it here. Why we make the teams that we're so talking about cost conscious all year long. We make the teams travel to Vegas. We already go there twice. We go there 3 times if you test.
Well, this is the first year we've gone there twice for the Cup side.
Correct, and I agree with that. But we go there for a SEMA show. A lot of the drivers do. We go there for a test, no doubt. So a minimum of 3 times we already see it. This year we're going to go 4 and possibly 5, depending on if you've tested and go to SEMA. We just have such a beautiful facility. I think we're missing out on the opportunity to showcase to our TV fans that don't get a chance to travel to the Hall of Fame in Charlotte. Vegas, everybody knows what Vegas is.
Yeah.
We're not showcasing.
They have plenty of hotel rooms, and that's a big factor.
Absolutely, 100%. I understand it's a location, a vacation spot, but Charlotte is also a vacation spot. Let's start showcasing what we already have, and that's in the Charlotte Hall of Fame.
There had also been some rumors that it might move to the Nashville area, and a couple of other cities as well were rumored to be a part of that mix, and we'll see how that plays out after this coming season at the end of 2018. All right, another break here on MRN Motorsports Monday. We'll talk some Xfinity racing when we come back. Kyle Busch dominates. However, we'll talk about that when we come back.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse.
Are you a serious die-cast collector? Do you have a favorite driver? Are you looking for a gift for a race fan? No matter what the question, the answer is always PlanBSales.com. Plan B has all the latest in die-cast from Lionel and apparel, artwork, and other items for your favorite driver in NASCAR or other forms of racing. Go to PlanBSales.com, key your driver's name in the handy search window, and look at all the options. Your one stop for die-cast and other motorsports collectibles is PlanBSales.com.
One more time around Pocono Raceway for Kyle Busch, and when it matters most, he is at the top of the leaderboard, and he's across the tunnel turn for the final time.
That red, white, and blue Toyota for the final time. He clears the short chute. Kyle Busch to the inside of turn number 3, up off from the final corner onto the front straight.
He overcomes a speeding penalty. He leads for 2/3 of the race, including the final 40 laps. Kyle Busch wins at Pocono.
Mike Bagley, Steve Post, and Kurt Becker on the call. The Xfinity Series at Pocono Raceway on Saturday. Kyle Busch wins again. However, he gets the cucumber because afterwards, apparently the left front, I believe it was too high, and that's going to be apparently an L1 penalty. We saw a similar situation the week before with Christopher Bell. He lost his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, for this race, a one-race suspension, but Kyle Busch gets to victory lane. Yeah,
I wish this could be definitely an off track for me, because I wish in the Cup Series we don't see these bogus penalties anymore with height violations.
And Kyle actually tweeted after the race, wait a minute, if it's too high, that's a disadvantage
right.
instead of an advantage.
And that's what the race fans simply don't understand. All they see is a rules violation. They don't understand the concept of it, whether it was too high, too low, how it handles the car. The last thing in the world that you want your left front to do on any race car is to be too high.
That's an enemy of speed.
Exactly right. You want that car buried on the track. Why it was too high, I have no idea. It doesn't matter. It was not, it cannot, it would not be a performance advantage. Unfortunately, because Kyle Busch is Kyle Busch, he tends to be a little polarizing.
You think?
We've had 3 races at Pocono in the Xfinity Series, and guess what? All 3 races have been won by those nasty Cup guys.
Yeah, and in this race in particular as well, Chase Elliott comes home second.
Chase Elliott finished second. You know, I remember back in the day, we used to run the Xfinity Series. In fact, Brad and I talked about it. We used to fly from Pocono to Iowa or Nashville, and it wasn't looked upon as a detriment. We were allowed to do it, and it was a lot of fun. Now when the Cup guys come to the Xfinity Series, it's the bad thing. It's evil. It's negative. There's a negative connotation the minute you see a driver's list with a Cup guy in the Xfinity list. So for him to dominate like he did and then have a post-race violation, let's just get rid of the height rules like we did in the Cup car.
Yeah,
and because
it makes sense.
It does make sense. We are taking race cars and we're, again, traveling them inches at a time. Things fail. If the car can only hit the ground, it can only go so low. So having a car, that's where the limit is, the ground. Having a car too high at a place like Pocono is a negative disadvantage.
Yeah.
Not a negative disadvantage, it's just a disadvantage.
Okay, I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you.
I was going to say negative
No,
advantage.
you're right. I got you. I got you.
Okay, so let's just get rid of the rule, and we'll get rid of these ticky-tack fouls, if you will.
I think there's a difference between something that really served to an advantage and something that is a violation, yes, but didn't help the car get to where it was. A couple of other things. We mentioned how this package didn't necessarily work as well. We had the longer runs at Pocono. The better cars were able to get out front and get away a little bit more than we saw with the shorter segments on the Cup side in the All-Star race. It worked well at Indy on the Xfinity cars. We'll see it coming up at Michigan this week for the Cup cars, and that's something to keep an eye on as well. I think Kyle Busch is going to be back in next week at Michigan on the Xfinity side.
Oh, goody. Yeah, no, let's not kid ourselves. We're not patting ourselves on the back by trying to destroy the Xfinity package at Pocono. The gentleman that designed the package, Eric Jacuzzi from NASCAR, who's the lead aero guy, tweeted, "Sorry, my bad.
It wasn't quite as good as we hoped."
Right, we thought it would be better. We'll try it again at Michigan. So it's an evolution with this package for sure. That even those guys that designed it weren't happy with it.
And I think that's something that, again, you got to give them kudos for trying. And even all the drivers were saying maybe it wasn't the best for this track, but they applaud the effort of them trying to find something that'll keep these cars closer together.
And I've said for a long, long time, if you've paid any attention to me, which people try not to, sometimes the track is the problem.
Yeah.
And I love Pocono for Cup cars and Pocono for Indy cars, but sometimes certain configurations with certain race cars simply don't work. And I go back to Homestead to prove my point. Homestead was mimicked after another very famous track that we still race on. The race cars didn't work. So what they do, they bulldozed the whole place and they built another one.
With the progressive banking.
No, they actually built an oval flat track.
Yeah, okay, you're in between. There's another step.
And that didn't work. So what they do, they bulldozed the track and they created what we have now, which is one of the best mile and a half, the first variation of the variable banking that we saw down in Homestead. And it produces the best racing we see without a doubt on a mile and a half track. We go to Homestead there for the grand finale of all 3 series. Sometimes, regardless of what package you run, you simply can't get a 3,200 to 3,400 pound race car to make a good race out of it.
All right, let's hear what Kyle Busch had to say after his victory in the Xfinity race at Pocono.
That's great. You know, it's been one that we've wanted to get, but you know, I've only started one other race here, and it was a rain shortened. I thought we were pretty good on that day, but come home fourth. So to have a great race car today, like we did from Eric Phillips and all my guys, it was just phenomenal for us. So really, really cool, really, really good. Means a lot to win here in Pocono in the Xfinity Series and check another box, if you will, of being able to win in all active tracks on the Xfinity schedule. So that's pretty special. There was a few that I've missed out on that I haven't gotten over the years that I wish I would have been able to get, but they're gone and done now, so I can't. But overall, today was a great day. Really want to say thanks to Comcast, NBC Universal, Juniper for allowing us the red, white, and blue colors on it today, for all the meaning of what that means, of saluting the troops and the members of service that are able to come back out of the military and to give jobs to those both serving as well as their spouses. So really, really special message there.
Boy, I wish Eric Phillips would have let Kyle get a word in edgewise there.
Well, he was so excited.
Ecstatic. He was going on.
Excited. You see, we're the winning crew chief. Look at me.
Elliott Sadler continues to lead the standings. He finished 6th on Saturday. Cole Custer had a good run. He was a 5th-place runner at Pocono. He's up to 2nd in the standings. Daniel Hemrick finishes 3rd. He's 3rd in the standings. Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, 2 rookies, round out the top 5 in the Xfinity Series as they head to Michigan this coming weekend. Another break on MRN Motorsports Monday. We'll look ahead to Michigan when we come back.
Chris Crockett here with one of the heads of our Toyota racing family, Martin Truex Jr.
Doing great, Chris. Thanks for asking.
I hadn't asked, but was about to.
Great second question, Chris. Car feels great, and no pressure because of last year's results.
How do you
know what you're about to ask?
Yeah, you're
blowing your mind. Relax, Chris. Being out in the lead is what I do best.
That is
amazing. I know.
NASCAR and Toyota Racing. With a family like this, who knows the places we'll go this season? Learn more at toyotaracing.com. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
Grunt style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
MRN Motorsports Monday, solving all of NASCAR's problems for over 6 years, 1 week at a time. Once again, here's Woody and Joey.
I mean, it's a place that over the last couple years, after the repave's gotten slick, so it widens out throughout the course of the weekend. I always find it's a challenging weekend because when you start, it is one groove wide, and it really doesn't start to widen out until late in happy hour, and you kind of get the feel. If it gets warm, the track really gets slick at the end of happy hour. So it's a challenge to try to set your car up and get a good feel of going into the race. And you know, the place is starting to get like Charlotte in a lot of ways of how temperature sensitive it is. So if it is cold in practice and you get in the race and it's really warm, it can get really slick. So just a challenge for the race team trying to get the car set up for what we need to feel.
Just a place where we can go and spread out. You know, we actually start to draft a little bit there as well. You know, trying to hang on. It's a fast place, really fast. And I love Fontana, and it has a lot of similarities, but at the same time, they're 180 degrees different. So just a smooth racetrack that's really held up to all the winners up there very well. But just happy that it's starting to widen out and get a little better racing.
A.J. Allmendinger and Chris Buescher previewing Michigan for us, and one of the things from JTG Doherty Racing, one of the things I haven't heard anybody say, A.J. talked about Michigan being temperature, weather sensitive.
You know, what's interesting about Michigan, and we talk about, they mentioned widening out, it still isn't like it used to be. We look at California as a sister track. We run from the apron literally against the grass to against the wall. That's how wide California is. Michigan used to be that way. What we have now is we have a very small area down in 1 and 2 that provides grip. When it gets hot, it gets slick down there because there's so much rubber, and it forces the guys out of that area, which tends to widen it out 2 to maybe 3 car widths wide. We haven't even made the center of the corner because they're so wide yet, but it is very sensitive on where that traction the gription. There you go. So we're able to use very sensitive. And what makes it so sensitive is they're going 212 to 215 entry speed, and that's the biggest problem. The Xfinity cars, because they're going to slow them down, that's going to allow that track to be very wide. So that's why I believe as we move forward, we're going to see that package again and possibly the Cup cars.
All right, and that's the Michigan story. The trucks will be in Texas. We'll have that one for you here on MRN Friday night. That one comes your way. The Rattlesnake 400 comes your way Friday night at 8:30. Saturday, the Xfinity race from Michigan. That one comes your way at 1 o'clock. Sunday, the Cup race, the Firekeepers Casino 400 comes your way at 1 o'clock on Sunday. I'm Woody. He's Joey. We'll see you right back here next week on MRN Motorsports Monday.